You're good to go.
All right, all right. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Spread Love podcast. Oh, yeah, we're here, we're live, and we're waiting on y'all. As you can see, we only have 6 people here today, but we've got a gentleman that we're very happy to have with us, and that's Eric Roberson. So we're so happy to have him. So happy to have him.
Wow, thank you.
He says he's the 7th member of Take 6, but today, I don't know.
He's six. He's six.
I can
People
change
have
it.
gotten in easier than that.
I can easily change it. It's just a quick little quick adjustment. I can just take this little top part out. Just let me know.
The member of
let's
Take
go all the way back to the beginning, because most people don't know that at the very beginning we were label mates.
That's so you about to mess me up, man. You about to really mess me up. And the first time meeting you guys, I don't know if you remember that, was at a Warner Brothers event. Warner Brothers event.
Yeah, and I remember, looking forward to it, because at the time I think Allison Gabriel Ball had just come over to Warner Brothers, and she had, of course, her artist that she was Eric Benet, which she was like touting to the moon and back. And then other cats were saying, you don't sleep on Eric Roberson. And I think, didn't you have a single that came out?
Funny you said To the Moon and Back. I had a song called The Moon. I Love You to the Moon.
That's right. That's right. Because, I would go up there at least, 2 times a week since I lived here in LA, just drive down the other side into Burbank and just pick up new music. And I remember getting that single, The Moon, and I was looking for the follow-up.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Well, so I was signed by Benny Medina, and then, but it was funny because when I was coming to LA, everyone was saying, well, why would you do a deal with Benny's not going to be there. He's leaving. And I, not knowing any better, I was young. And it was like, oh, whatever. I'm just trying to get a record deal. And sure enough, as fast as, the song is growing up the charts and is doing well. And then Benny left, and it was like, all right, I guess I'm leaving too. And then I went to Island Records almost immediately. I went right from there, wow. and then Hiram Hicks took over Island and just wiped the place clean. He's like, every A&R fired, every artist dropped, and I went back to college. I was like, you know what? Let me I got the scholarship still, man. Let me go back, and regroup. And that was probably, it was a hard decision because I got a record deal while in college, had the song out while in college. And just when I told my parents, it's getting too crazy, it's getting too busy, I got to leave college, is like when it all stopped. And it was cool, but I really was, but I think I became a better writer, a better artist, a better person from that time going back to Howard, like really, really getting a chance to get a taste and understanding what it was needed and really what I wanted to do. I think that.
Wait, you said scholarship. What did you go to school for?
I was a musical theater major. So what was interesting, my mother put me in a pageant when I was a pageant. Amen. Come on now. Yeah, listen.
Yes.
Wait. Stop right there.
He is going to have to do some. Lucy's got some splaining.
I know you got to explain that, bro, because I'm trying to tell you guys that pageant has a certain kind of connotation to it.
So listen, I'm playing on the football. I
was. Okay, football. All right.
I played on the football team.
Okay.
And so I got heat. You know what I mean? Like, listen, when my boy, no, I didn't have to wear a wig. There was no swimsuit section. But my mother got this card from this lady, and it's just crazy when you think of like destiny, right? My mother got this card from this lady when my sister's 5 years older than me, and the lady gives, we have a pageant for young men as well, and she gives her a card. 5 years later, I'm 15, 16 years old, and my mom finds this card, and she's like, let me call and see, and it was called Mr. Black Teenage World, And I won the state of New Jersey one, and then I went on to do the national, and I won the national one, and I sung a whining song. Everything You Touch is a Song.
Come on now.
Yeah, come on.
Hey.
It was a lot to it. Right, come on now. And when I won, they handed me an envelope, and the envelope said I had a full scholarship to Grambling University.
Oh,
and
all right.
A full scholarship to Howard University.
Whoa.
So I was like, immediately I knew, if I was going to maybe play football, if I was going to try to continue athletics, maybe I'll go to Grambling, but I knew immediately I'm going to Howard, right? And
wow.
and that changed the course of everything. Now I'm going back to high school, really knowing where I'm going to college, knowing everything. And if I probably could have majored in R&B singer major or something, I probably would have did it. But that wasn't there. But I grew up doing, I grew up really imitating my sister. I had a 5-year-old sister who played in bands and did theater and made clothes, and she did everything. And I really just imitated her. To this point, my sister has 3 boys. I have 3 boys. I mean, to this day,
I love it. I love it.
She has her own business. I've imitated her all the way up. And so I grew up doing theater. So it was like, okay, you know, I love theater. I'll go in as a musical theater major. And it was a blessing, man, because I was really diving into songwriting really heavy. And I will tell you that, you know, the music classes were really, really helpful. So the music department was on the 3rd floor and the theater department was on the 1st floor. But I learned more about singing on the 1st floor in theater classes.
Wow.
I learned more about songwriting there because it was everything was really character development. And I'll be honest with you. So then now when I went back to revisit songs, even your albums, I heard them differently now because now I'm learning a different way to dissect as well as put together songs that I wasn't getting on the 3rd floor, which was great. I learned ear training and theory and harmony and all stuff like that. But something about those theater classes were, you know, if you said I woke up today and the sky was blue, the teacher would be like, what's blue?
Yeah. Why is it blue?
Why is it blue?
Yeah.
And what does blue even mean?
And what does blue even mean? And we might spend 20 minutes just talking about blue. Say it again. Say it again. I need blue to feel something. And now you're pulling from like the first time you ever saw blue at 6 months old. You know, and you understand it. You understand, you know, the power of words and the impact that everything has on it. You know,
truth be told, that's kind of like our story. We were all around the music scene at our school, but nobody was actually in the music program. The deepest cats were around the music program, not in the music program. We all got chased out of the building for devil's harmonies and all of that stuff all the time.
That's crazy.
So we get it, yeah.
But I think Howard was the same exact way. When I think of the monsters that come from Howard, you know, sure, you have a Chris Dave and a Ray Angry who were in the department, but then you have like a producer like Rich Harrison who did like Crazy in Love for Beyonce, and he was like, you know, an English major or something. You know, nowhere near the fine arts department. So, you know, I learned also with that you can't just judge. You know, you got to keep it open because the magic is going to come from all angles.
Absolutely.
But the other thing that people don't realize about thinking that, oh, I got a skill or a talent in a certain area, and they feel like I don't need to go to college. You actually learn how to find the answers that you need in college. It's not that you come out a specialist. You come out knowing how to find what you need to be successful. And
that's the tools to get it.
Exactly. And I think the classroom was important, but also around the classroom, there was a synergy that you're walking down hallways that Donny Hathaway walked down. I think I had Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack's English teacher. So she didn't just teach me English. You know, I'm like, I stayed
up. You're soaking it up.
Oh, I'm soaking it all up. You know what I mean? You know, so that's
was Chadwick there while you were there?
Yeah. So the amazing thing was when I was a freshman, Taraji P. Henson was a junior.
Wow.
And then I left for a year and a half doing the Warner Brothers and Island stuff. And then I came back. So I think my junior year was Chadwick's freshman year. So I had watching him 2 years. He was phenomenal then. You know, they were getting rid of fine arts and they were changing it to liberal arts. And the students protested and they took over the A building. Most people don't even talk about this, which is always amazing. The students and mainly the fine arts department took over the A building for about a week, literally taking over the A building, risking, you know, allowing yourself to go to school. You could easily got expelled. And Chadwick, at that time we were doing Jelly's Last Jam, the musical, and I had the lead. I was playing Jelly Roll Morton, and we had a meeting. And I want to say Chad was doing the sound. So he was the one who would mic us up. You know, and everything. And we agreed that half of our cast, half of our staff was going to do the A building. And Chad championed that. He was the main leader of that entire takeover of that.
Wow.
Of that administrative. I mean, he was a solid, always thorough, solid brother. It was not a question.
Yeah.
And even I'll say the same thing for Taraji. And in between that, there was, I mean, if I run off names, it from who's on Broadway, who's done movies, it's crazy. But I'll even say, Marlon Wayans, when I got there, he I don't even know if most people know he went to Howard, but not only was he sitting in class, he had did Mo Money with his brother, and he came back and he was sitting in class with a movie out. And you're like, why are you here? Like, you have a movie.
You've already accomplished what we're here to actually learn how to do.
But he came back, he came back. And I think that was impactful for me when I realized, most of my opportunities were drying up, but I still had the opportunity. There was still more for me to learn, So
you could have gone either way easily.
Could have gone any way easily. And I saw, I remember Mint Condition came and did a concert at Howard, and they heard Chris Day. Somebody said, "Yo, y'all should go to the practice rooms and hear this kid play." And they went down in the basement and heard Chris Day playing, and they hired him on the spot. He got up and left, and never came and never came back. Like midweek, like packed up. Like just honest truth. Like heard him. You ready to go? I could pack a bag right now, and was gone.
Wow.
As well as like, so. Oh, we got look at who here. Just when I was getting comfortable. Look at God.
Listen, let me tell you how funny this is. So I'm sitting in my son's play. He's in the high school musical play. Tonight was opening night. I'm getting texts from Mark Kibble like, "Yo, he's talking about you, dog." Like, "Oh, dog." So they went.
He really thinks I'm his friend. I'm really just getting close to him just to
take him out.
That's really the only reason. He thinks we're friends. I'm just trying to get close enough. Just trying to get close. No, God bless you. Listen, it's all as you see. Amen. I was telling the brothers, first of all, I've only been envious like really 2 times, and it was like when you introduce yourself as a member of Take 6, and then there's a brother from London, amazing singer, and his name escaped me, and I hate his name escaped me right now, but he sings background for Sade.
Oh, Tony Monroe.
Tony Monroe, a phenomenal singer, great dude too.
Amazing cat.
And when he said he sang background for Sade, I almost cocked back a little bit. And I was like, no, like, calm down.
I'm safe.
But, right.
You tell me that I almost did too.
Right. but I think I speak for everyone. I'll say this. When Christian became a member of Take 6. What I will tell you is that all of us grew up feeling as we were the 7th member of Take 6. Amen. This statement is not a new statement. It wasn't a statement. I've worn this badge for numerous times, and so it's the equivalent of you have a crush on this girl in 4th grade, and she has a boyfriend in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, going through junior high school. She's still with the guy, and you giving up hope. You said, "All right, well, I'll love her from afar. I'll just wish her well." and then she comes back her junior year with a new guy on her arm. Like her boyfriend broke up over the summer. You're like, that was an option.
Right. I had a shot.
Wait a minute. There was a shot here. Like that is just why didn't I get the memo? Wait a minute. So God bless you, just being in the right place at the right time and taking the chance. It's and also being talented enough to fit in that. What an intimidating place. So I honor you, man. I really do honor you in fitting that, because I'm the 7th member. But at the same time, if any of you ever heard that 7th note, I probably would be fired.
You know what you do. You hold your own.
As long as you don't sing harmony like a football player.
Hey, you playing real hooky?
Yeah.
Is the play going on in the actual building? Are you in the car?
Oh, absolutely. So like they went on intermission. I ran out to the car. I'm like, okay, let me jump on real quick. But I think they're starting back, so I got to run back in and support the son.
Yeah, man, support the son. That's the most important. Besides, I got you. I got it, man. You good?
I got you covered.
I got we about to do a rehearsal right now, so you good, man.
Hey, I love you guys, man. I'm out.
Love you too, man.
All right.
I really had to say this before I go any further. I cannot go any further without saying how impactful you guys were to my growth, and really to the growth of Black music as a whole. I really have to say that, and I will say this also as a Christian. It's very important to say this too, that I was a young man trying to understand life, and I would say that to me, you and commission go hand in hand. It's like I really have to, if I speak for myself, right? You and commission go hand in hand in my development and really understanding. And it was interesting that when you see very swagger, amazing, handsome, clever guys who probably don't have to sing about God, but sing about God was even more impactful, because and I would say respectful to any hero of mine who was singing gospel. As a young man looking, I would kind of look and kind of give them an excuse. Oh, they're singing gospel because they probably can't sing R&B, or they ain't the coolest, or whatever, this and that. And here come these cool guys, who could easily be in a club, who could easily be whatever, who could easily sing anything they want, and they're choosing to sing about true. And so it's like, I'll be honest, I looked at y'all looking for the excuse, and there was no excuse. It was authentic, and it was like,
thank you, brother.
And it strengthened my walk. I must honestly tell you. And then just at the same time, the performance, the arranging, the harmonies, it was unlike anything I at that time, and I studied everything, had ever heard. And then I remember going to a concert you guys performed at. I feel like it was Princeton. I feel like it was Princeton.
Yeah.
And I remember this concert, and Mark, you and your brother coming out and doing that battle back and forth, and just the vocal chops, and just it was just like, but once again, I always say it goes hand in hand, right? So when I say the showmanship, the arranging, the vocality, everything that you guys showed was amazing, right? And I carry that still to this day. I carry this to this day. So when I went to write, I thought of that. And to be fair, if I be in all transparency, you guys were almost above a tangible level. You guys were putting together, it was like, arguably I say commission was tangible. Right? It was tangible, where you guys are putting together harmonies and stuff that was like, I dreamed to one day be here. I dreamed to one day be here. And I honestly say that I give you credit, but I don't know if I give you guys enough credit for how, like, the moments of we saying, I want to do that. I want to do that, and
thank you, brother.
And really, yes, and really picking up a pen and really sitting behind a microphone and really, really diving into the craft. And I salute y'all for still being here, still holding on to the parts that you love, to still be an act of service.
Man, thank you, man.
Thank
you so much.
I had to make sure I said that. I had to make sure,
I gotta throw it right back at you, man, because what we've seen you do on stage is something that we wish we could do. You are so spontaneous.
That ad-lib stuff, pulling stuff out the clip, that's amazing.
And on it with the vocals, and I'm like, the dude just wrote a song on stage.
Yes. So that's where we got to go now. Where does that come from, Eric? Yes. Is that something you've always done?
Exactly.
Is that something you've always done?
I was going to say, if I, from the outside looking in, I would say that your first gift that everything else grows from is you as a songwriter. But I'm going to ask you that question, how you look at it with all that you do. You're a songwriter, you're an artist, you're a performer, you're a producer, all the things that you do. Which one of those do you consider is the one thing that everything grows from? Or even is it like that? Because from the outside looking in, based on just what we're all talking about, seeing you on stage, letting the audience pick the lyric, and just randomly say any amount of words, and you just sit there, which of course goes back to your theater training. And I'm glad that you said that first, because you come across as someone who can connect with the audience before all the other stuff goes down, before the singing goes down, before the all the prowess that you have goes down.
And I would add that it could become the legit hit right there.
Literally.
It is not just we just came up with something.
Writing songs with random words.
It could be the hit.
What what is it first? I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like it's all, or maybe if anything, I feel like I'm a perceiver. I practice. I always say that I'm on a perception diet. I practice being on a perception diet where I'm always working on how I perceive things to keep myself healthy, right? Because I can easily take things the wrong way. So first part about freestyling is to not think, right? I'll be honest with you. The moment I'm thinking, or shall I say, the moment I'm thinking, if it's working, is the moment when it won't work.
Wow.
So when I talk about perception, first thing I have to think of is that I have to perceive every idea as a good idea.
Good.
Everything that comes to me is purposeful and is meant to happen, right?
Good.
So in freestyle, there's no room that if someone gives me a word, for me to stop and think, should I? You know what I mean? There's no room for it, right? You have to immediately take it, apply it, release it. And guess what? Sometimes it doesn't work. And really when it doesn't work, I don't think people even realize it. I think they're there for the whole process of it. Yeah. And I'm really just committing to the process. I practice several things, right? But one of the things I speak on all the time is a theory called process over product. And for me, it's how I parent my kids. I try to. I'm not as good as it with my marriage. I'm not as good at it with my with my parenting. But guess what? When it comes to songwriting, when it comes to performing, it has nothing to do with product. I can't think at all whether it will work or will it be successful. I can't. I can only dedicate myself to now, to the very what I'm saying at this moment. I can't even. When I'm freestyling, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what I'm saying next. I'm only focused on what I'm saying at the very moment right there. Because if you think about the next line is going to flub this line, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So but also to answer Claude's question, I'm a hip hop kid, right? So I grew up, beating on the cafeteria table and
getting in the cypher.
And getting in the cypher, and messing up and learning. And I think early on I realized with songwriting, if I was going to get into songwriting, I had to learn how to rhyme. So just rhyme just in general. So I would go TV, Stevie, ceiling, feeling, healing. I would just spin, walk home the entire way, just going floor, door, more, hat, cat, sat, mat, and just keep going to where that part just became invisible. So one part about freestyling is I'm never thinking about making something rhyme. I'm just making it rhyme. So even, what's interesting is probably at least for the last 10 years, and even before that, it was moments of it, not consistently. But for the last 10 years, I haven't written anything down in the studio. Not one line.
Wow.
Now, what I would tell you is I'm always writing. I'm always
the Jay-Z method.
Yeah, Jay-Z. I mean, and I don't know if it's the exact same way. I've seen different people when me, Fred Hammond, Brian Courtney Wilson, and Dave Hollister did the group. We had a group called United Tenors. I'll be honest with you. I don't ever remember Fred writing a line down. Fred wrote that whole album, and to be honest with you, I don't ever. So it's not. I'm not the only one, right? And I think we have a different way and different process, but I don't ever remember him even typing a line in his phone.
Wow.
I just remember him sitting there. He might pray about it. He might even read some scripture, and he kind of think for a second, and then he'd say, "Okay, I got it," and he would press record, and it'll be there. And it was a blessing to watch it because it was something different. It was something different for me. For me, when I go into the studio, now, and I'm sure with all of it might be the same way. With the kids, with my schedule, I don't have the time to zone out anymore, right?
Yeah,
in the studio. Yeah. So now I only go in the studio when I go, that's the only time I go in there.
Yeah.
When that idea hits, and then at the same time, when the idea hits, I first go, all right, who am I? And I try to define the character as much as I can.
Yeah.
What I want, what am I trying to say? And then before I press anything, before I touch anything, I just think of that, and that's theater, right? And I define who I am, and then when I press record, I'm that person.
So that's good.
So the choices to make are already there. You know what I mean? The choices to make, you know, if you're ever in a debate or argument, you know, if we're debating over who's the favorite football team, I'm a Giants fan. I know who your team is, but let's say we'll argue about whether the Giants are good or bad. I'm not going to out the blue say, well, Miami has palm trees and I like popcorn, because it don't even make sense to the argument.
It's not in the conversation. Yeah.
Right. So the more we define what we're arguing about or what we're debating about, the more the conversation shrinks, the more it limits. Right. Mm-hmm. And so if you didn't know, so I've been teaching songwriting at Berklee College of Music for the last 2 years.
Awesome.
And it's been a blessing. It's helped me so much. And what I would tell you is that I have a lot of students who come in and they might be from China or from India, and the English is not their first language and they're not very fluent in it. And I tell them, oh, embrace that. Oh, you're limited in words. Guess what? That gives you.
That's more, your thing.
That's first, if you allow it, that will be a focus.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The more I cut away other vocabulary, the more if I only have 10 words to work with, then all I can focus on are those 10 words.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And how much impact. So don't look at it as a curse or a limitation. Look at it as a level of focus. And you know what I mean? And I love to see that light bulb go off when they challenge and perceive it differently. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, I think from and really I was probably freestyling in the dressing room. I was freestyling at sound check. I was freestyling in the van on the way to the venue. And one day I just decided to do it on stage. You know, one day, and I was it. And I'll be honest with you, I really believe that even each one of you, if you gave it a try, you probably would do it a lot better than you think you did it. And even if you say, all right, I'm just going to do it for 2 weeks, just try for 2 weeks straight. By the second week, you'll be surprised that you'll be able to do it with no problem. Because
when you're teaching this kind of thing, though, when does it shift from being a discipline to be able to tell yourself, make sure I don't try to edit my thoughts? Because you're absolutely correct. For those of us who perform on stage, you can't really think about what you're about to do, because that's when you start to mess up. It's got to be a flow or else you're not there.
Yeah.
When does that freestyling, when it comes to literally just kind of being in a cypher like that, you stop having to discipline yourself to think, to not think?
Well, one, you have to embrace that somehow it might not work. I have to embrace that. And you have to embrace failure, right? Like, for me, freestyling it means so many things. Freestyling to me, first off, the real meaning of the freestyle is to show the connection to the listener, right? Because that listener, and even with your show, the listener has a responsibility. And what you're doing is art, but what really makes it art is how the listener moves to it, how they perceive it moves them to it moves
sir.
And it moves them closer to God. It moves them, and that's what so the freestyle is really, especially taking the words, lets them know that you're responsible too. Because if you just give me love and peace, okay, guess what? Love and peace. We go, okay, that was cool. But then somebody yells out toenail clippings, and then everybody goes, what? And I cleverly somehow put it in the time. You'll even wear a necklace of my toenail clippings. What? That's crazy! And then it's crazy. Now, mind you, I didn't come in the room saying, "Oh man, I can't wait till somebody gives me." I have no idea what you're giving me.
Right.
But you're just as responsible as I am. And guess what? If you don't show up for a show, once again, you're just as responsible as I am. The marquee may say something, but you're just as responsible for the overall picture to really come together. And at the same time, I'm willing to take this risk in front of you for the chance that we might make magic. I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to fall flat on my face. But guess what? You guys are seasoned, but you take that chance too every day you get on stage.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Eric, I have to say, with that attitude, and we've had this happen where you are in the moment, you're doing what you do. What happens when you are on stage failing? Because I'm sure inevitably it has happened.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you get out of that? How do you use that? How do you use the failure to be a plus for you?
Just going to say you never fail. Just say it. Just say it.
No. I would definitely not say that. But what I would tell you is that I'm at a point now where I realize if I get out of the way of the pity, there's a lesson in the failure. And I've learned that enough. I failed enough that now I actually look when I fail, I sit up like, oh, when I succeed, I'm less like, okay, that's great. But when I fail, it gives me a little bit like,
oh, you got me good.
Now, you're hitting on something that's really deep. When did you embrace the mindset of it's okay to fail? When did that, can you think back to a time that when that happened? Because that right there hits on business, that hits on family, that hits on people who are afraid to take risks and afraid to fail. When did you find that you embraced that?
I think, like, okay, failed record deals, going back to college. And now, mind you, the same people who were whispering behind me, is that the kid with the video on TV? That's the guy who just, he's on the radio, right? Now that's the same people like, why is he back?
Right.
On the radio that much more, right? So that here's failure, right? But then when a year later, after that toughness, and once the pity leveled out, and once the whispers quieted a little bit, and now I'm sitting, and now I've taken up guitar that I probably wouldn't have taken up, and I never got a chance to be a good guitar player, but I got enough to literally write out my ideas and realize I became a better writer. I said, wow, okay, I wouldn't have been able to write that well if I stayed there. Oh wow, okay. My entire career is based off of failure. So I've gone through multiple record deals, and then all that stuff didn't work out, and I'm having a great songwriting career. At this point, I'm writing for a lot of people, writing for my friends. My friends are getting record deals. Everything's working out really great, and then the relationship I'm in ends unexpectedly, and I'm really caught off guard, right? Nobody never broke up with me before, and I go into the studio, I close the door, and I just write, because that's the only thing I knew what to do. I ain't had no side piece and nothing like that. It was like it's quiet, let me just pour my heart into this, right? And that was really the start of my independent journey, right? Like and I remember, it's funny because at the time, I think this is like 99. It really, 2001 was my first. So I'm celebrating 20 years of independent albums, right? So 2001, I'm working on it, and all my friends have record deals. All my friends now, we are all pretty much producers. It's kind of working. And for the most part, everybody's like, so what you working on? I think I'm doing this album. You got a deal? No, I think I'm just gonna put it out myself. Word? Put it out yourself? Yo, you gonna put an album on himself? Yo, you think you Barry Gordy? Oh, what? I mean, because we Chop Central, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put it. I don't know. I'm just gonna put it out myself, man. Like, because guess what? It wasn't. My first album was called Esoteric, right? And esoteric means only meant to be understood by a chosen few, right? Wow. So really, the first album was really just an album to only be understood by her. From a life standpoint, and then from a musical standpoint was like, okay, I'm writing these songs, I'm going to New York, taking meetings at Def Jam and Epic. I'm going, we do the process as a songwriter. I was going up every 2 weeks to play all the music I did that week, and that was tiresome. It was interesting, it's ups and downs with that. And then I'm like, let me just make what's on my mind, let me just make what's on my heart. So esoteric also meant like, guess what? If 10 people rock to this, I'm fine with it. If 1,000 people rock with it, I'm fine with it. I don't know if I need the huge success. So it all came from things not working for me to really even change my course. So with that, it's funny. I have a new song coming out in June called Lessons, and I had leaked it. I wrote it the morning of my anniversary, my 12th year anniversary with my wife. And it's just interesting. I don't know if I was like, I'm gonna write a song for my anniversary, but the song it starts with God has a funny way of showing you lessons. And the hook is, now I realize everyone that let me down led me to you.
All right. Come on, church.
If I didn't go through it, I would have never found you. So it's like that relationship, all the relationships before had to fail for me to find my soulmate, for me to have the children I have now, for me to have this 20, because think of it, I met my wife and we had to learn fans together. I wasn't on a label. We didn't have like, this is how you handle fan. We had to deal with stalkers together. We had to learn all of that together. And thank God she was patient and understanding, and we figured it all out. But that came from failure. And so I survived long enough to let the pity subside, start learning the lessons enough to now I look for the lesson now. Now when something doesn't work, I'm immediately like, if we just can get to the point of just going, what was the purpose of it? And I'm not, like, listen, COVID or cancer, anything heavy like that, I can't speak on that. That's a whole nother level. But when something doesn't work out in your plan, if you just take a minute, and I mean this, I speak this as this is, what I really say. Why didn't it work? What was the purpose of it? Not woe is me, but just what's the purpose of it? More than likely, you're going to find the answer, and more than likely, you're going to be better after it.
Well, here's the thing: you're already speaking on COVID because the formula that they're putting out now is formula 264, but nobody's whining over the other failed formulas that happened before. They literally just learned from, okay, failure 263 didn't work. Let's try this. Oh, 264 is working. If people could take that attitude toward what they perceive to be failure and actually look for it, oh my good dude, you have just freed people up, not just from music or music writing, but business and relationships. It's how you perceive failure that causes you to learn in every situation so that you're not afraid to take risks. That is huge, man.
The lesson is in the failure. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The lesson,
so now you can enjoy the process.
Exactly. So, listen, I don't like sleeping on the couch. I don't like going through silent time, but I try to keep my wife happy as much as possible. I ain't trying to fail much in that part, right? But for the most part, I'm trying. And guess what? I'm probably a better husband for the times that I failed in our relationship of not listening or trying to get the last word or you know what I mean? So something told me, okay, that's how that works. And, the failure of when we were dating led us, even before we decided to get married, to go get marriage counseling. And I remember in that room, that lady said, the first thing you need to do, you need to remove that scoreboard over your head. And I remember I became a better person the moment she said it. As if she knocked it off my head when she said it. She said, you got to move that scoreboard. Y'all can't just keep that score. Y'all keeping the score. Oh, she said that or this and that. And you keep this. Now I'm keeping the scoreboard. I'm walking around the house. She said, knock that scoreboard off your head. And it was like, but guess what? We would have never went to see that lady if we weren't failing.
Right.
We weren't failing. So
good stuff, man.
It was really, really helpful. And I try to pass that, and that's how we write a great song. You write great songs by failing your way to the greatness to it. That didn't work, erase this. To get to the moment that takes your breath away. That goes, you just have to have the tenacity to stay on it till you find it.
So for the young songwriters out there, give us your approach to songwriting. Now that you said, this doesn't work, get out your eraser. Because of the way that you pretty much value yourself as a perceiver, just a sponge of your environment. And then perception also then says, now I can take all that information and kind of channel it into what I think all this is saying. How many times, or do you even have to rewrite when you're starting to write a song and say, this is not working? Or when you do you get a feeling right away that this is the way it is, especially for somebody who doesn't write things down?
Well, so even dedicating yourself to the process doesn't mean that things are guaranteed. It just means that you'll get a better chance of having a better product if you trust the process. So there's times where I might rewrite it 3 times, but even the third time, I'm not thinking about the second time I wrote it. Right. I'm only dedicated to the third time. So yeah, plenty of times I'll write a song, and then when I come for air, I'm like, okay, let me rewrite it again. But when I rewrite it again, or when I change the second verse, it's not about the second verse has to be better than the last verse I wrote. And I know many of you probably have this. We write a song, we write a hook, like the first verse is beautiful, the hook is beautiful, and you go, and then we sit there and go, is there any way
I need to back into that.
Can I write a second verse as good? And the intimidation is crippling.
Right. Yeah.
It's crippling. That first verse is so perfect. Oh, there's no, and then we go into it competing with the first verse rather than allowing the second verse to
just come out of you.
Feel itself.
You know, and I'll tell you, so and I apologize, but I'm very principle theory, you know, in general, right? I'm at a point now, and this is new. This is very, very new for me. I'm at a point where I cannot say I ever created anything. I can say I found it.
All right.
Right.
That's a sermon there, Pastor.
Come on, man.
It is. Like I said, I'm constantly, listen,
Amen.
I wrote an essay on this and I'll email it to you. I said, I'm always writing, right? But I cannot claim to create a song no more than a fisherman can claim to create a fish.
Come on,
right?
Pastor.
The notes, even the plethora of notes that you've used, every note has been here before.
Yes.
Every word that we've said has been here before.
Nothing
and even the feelings, even that it came from somewhere.
Right.
Right. It came from somewhere. So we're finding these things. And what I would tell you is that I'm very good at putting it together. Right. So just like a cook, a cook can grab it and they know how to clean it and they know how to season it. They know just where to put the oven at. And that's through practice and whatever. And I would say that I've worked very hard to know what the oven should be and how much salt and pepper and all this stuff should put on the fish and this and that. But I remove the pressure of the weight of feeling that I have to or that I do create it. Because then the question goes, can I create it? And I'm like, no. I go every day to a pond full of fish. And I don't question what I catch. I catch it and prepare it and serve. And the most important part, and serve it.
Come on, Pastor.
Right? Because for some reason, this idea or this fish gave itself. It came to me for a purpose, right? If we keep it real 100, and then I take the time to clean it, to arrange it, to do whatever, not to then put it in saran wrap and leave it in the refrigerator forever.
Right.
There's a level of sacrifice that it did before it even got to me. That there's a purpose of all this. So, and also the purpose of the hours of me to prepare it. I'm preparing it for something. And then once again, I then take it and I cook it. And once I cook it, I either serve it to myself or I serve it to you. And once I hand it to you, it's no longer mine.
Wow.
It's no longer mine.
Wow.
That's good. That's good.
What I'm hearing here again is
some wisdom
stewardship. Like the church would call this stewardship. You don't own it. You are a steward of it.
Yeah.
But that frees up your mind to be able to now discover, as you said, instead of create.
And assumption is the cancer to everything, really. If you think of it, it's cancer to relationships, it's cancer to business, but it's also the cancer to creativity. If I'm assuming what the song's going to be before I allow it to evolve to what it's going to be, or if I assume your reaction and then you don't give me the same reaction, then I'm disappointed. Right? If I dare still feel like I own it, then I own the response that you're going to give to it. I'm going to own the fact that all I need you to do is move. So guess what? When you move away, you still moved. You know what I'm saying? I'm not disappointed because it's not mine. So however it moves you is how it moves you. I'm not looking at it. I serve it. I'm like, it better move you a certain way. How dare you didn't move the way I would? First of all, it's not mine no more. I handed it to you. However you, how many people sing reasons at weddings? If you ever stopped and thought about the true meaning of that song, should never be sung at a wedding. But why? Because when it reasons, it felt good. Right. And it felt good and it symbolized something for them. And they like, girl, I want to walk down the aisle to this reasons too. Not even realizing it's about infidelity, right?
Right.
Like, I don't care because so however you take it is how you take it, right? I can't control it once I serve it, you know, and hopefully it feeds you in a certain kind of way. And for me, I'm constantly trying to work with people who spend time cooking, cleaning it, and not serving it.
Right.
Why not? Why not? Why? Because you're putting too much weight on the fact that you created it, and then you're putting too much assumption on what the reaction is going to be that you're worried about the reaction. You're worried about being let down. You're worried about failure. So then you don't serve, which is the first part of all the stuff we're doing in the first place. It's an act of service. We're fortunate. Let me tell you something. Y'all are fortunate to have the Grammys behind you and the beautiful view in the building. We are fortunate to make a living doing an act of service.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You open your, when I hear spread love, if we just take that, I'll be respectful because I don't want to mess y'all. I am 14 again. I'm 14 years old. And let me tell you, I can go all the way back. I'm 14 years old laying on my parents' bed because that's where the CD player was at. I know. And I had your CD, I had Terrence Trent D'Arby's CD, and I remember it. So when I hear Spread Love, I remember. I also remember when I think it was Doo-Wop, when they added the hip hop drum beat under, the mixtapes under Spread Love, and how I don't think you understand how that answered so many questions for us because we were hip hop kids who liked to sing.
Right.
So,
yes.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait, that's a hip hop beat and they singing. Oh. So we all going our little 4 tracks and stuff and try, but when I hear that, I know where I was the moment I heard that. So we have the ability to make people remember stuff. We have a memory of forget stuff, to heal. It's an act of service that we fortunately make a profit from. But if we allow the profit,
because we know how to find stuff.
Because we know how to find stuff. And if we get in the way of the fact that we find it, what happens is I see a park bench and I see an old lady sitting there. And somehow now, because of creativity and assumption, now watching her, there may be something really special that I say, oh, the simplicity of her happiness, how she fed that bird, that was cute. And I'll go, but nobody wants to hear that. I'm not going to write about that. That's assumption. Rather than if I'm watching and I go, and it made me smile like that. Guess what? Write the smile.
Right.
Write the smile. Write the smile.
Write the smile.
Write the smile. And then write that, capture that and put it to music, right? And put it to melody and put it to verse. Capture that rather than judging it. That's the fish that just came out the pond. But somehow we allow the business, we allow the definition of success, we allow all that stuff, all the assumption to get in the way. And now we're judging the fish. No, that's not a big enough fish. Go back in the water.
That ain't no sea bass.
That ain't no sea bass. You're not a salmon. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not a snapper. How dare you jump onto my boat? It's like, for me, I'm like, let's find it. Tommy Davidson, God bless him, man. I always had to give him credit for this statement he said to me. He said, the only person that knows what works is God.
Yeah.
So why are you judging if it's gonna work or not? You ain't, how you know? The only person who knows. The only person who knows. And then through life, the other part that I added to that was the only person who can show you is the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
God knows if it's gonna work. But the only people who's gonna show you is the crowd is gonna show you if it works. So you gotta put it out. You gotta put it out there. You gotta try. You have to fail. You have to, and I always give this analogy that, I look at like skateboarders. Like if you take Tony Hawk, the legendary skateboarder, or any legendary skateboarder, you're not gonna find a legendary skateboarder who skateboarded for 20 years that didn't break their ankle or their arm or had a concussion.
Right.
Didn't have to have back surgery or hip surgery. They had to break something. And we're fortunate as singers, we don't, we're not gonna really probably break our arm really when we fall off stage, but we still fail. There's times even as amazing as you guys were, that y'all probably did something and it was crickets.
Yes.
Time's over.
Oh yes.
That's not true. But that worry of the crickets, that worry of that pain sometimes will stop us from getting to where we're destined to go. And guess what? It's not going to be a fairy tale. It's not going to be all the way. Guess what? You are fortunate. We are superheroes in some form, vocal superheroes, lyrical. We do something and we do something that we're fortunate that 95%, that's what I tell my students, 95% of the world can't do. Right. You hear something, you could put it together and then you can present it. So why would you not do it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's so good, man.
Yeah, all you listening, regardless of what medium you're listening to, if you don't understand that you have just been in a life masterclass, you will when you watch it the second time.
And the third and the fourth and the fifth.
Exactly.
Man, because there are people in the chat room who are losing their minds in the sense that you are dropping so many pearls here, man. And it doesn't feel or sound like you're just making this stuff up. This is real, man. So I want to say, you said that you write all the time. So you would consider yourself a prolific songwriter or writer in general?
Writer in general. So I'm constantly writing. I'm writing a book, interesting enough, called Beautifully All Over the Place, and it has full essays in it. And then it has like little poems, and it has songs, and then it might have a joke, because it's just, I'm constantly writing, right? So I had this there's one part in there where it says, stop taking things so serious, and remember that God is a comedian. Sometimes he's just going to trip you up for the hell of it. And it's like, just like that little simple thing, and knowing when it's finished, that's done, boom. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly staying in shape for writing. I'm constantly, when I hear it, or constantly, I really, and I'm sorry, I know I apologize, because I'm always jumping in these theories. It's very important, my relationship with creativity. And a lot of times we treat creativity like a best friend we don't deserve. You know, when it shows up, we're like, oh, thank you for coming in. Come sit down. You know, everyone get away. You know, and that's how I was for years. You know, it's like creativity shows up to Thanksgiving. Everyone leave. Creativity's here. You know, and sometimes you have to. You know, creativity needs me just as much as I need it. Right. And sometimes you have to tell it to come back. Sometimes, you know, there's times that your best friend, let's say I'm playing with my son, and my best friend calls me with an idea. And I go, hey, man, I'm playing with my son right now. You know, you got Avengers and stuff like that. I'll hit you back in 20 minutes. And let's say I forget to hit him back. I call him back the next day. And then I call him back and I say, hey, man, so what you want to talk about? And he'll probably say, man, I can't even remember, man. What you up to? And more than likely, we'll start talking, right? And because we're best friends, in that conversation, something magical will still happen, right? So what happens is, we're so worried about losing the idea that comes from creativity that we don't want it to leave. We'll neglect everything around us to honor the fact that it showed up, rather than saying, hey, man, come back. When you come back, maybe you'll come back with that idea, or just come back with something else. But
since I grew up listening to Morris Day and the Time, I'm going to say, Eric.
I get it.
Morris told Jerome to tell him to stop him when he gets to 17. That's probably like your 57th nugget of wisdom that you laid on us. But before we let you go, because we obviously we could do this literally all
night. Yeah.
And now that we connected at this level, we can't let it stop here. So we're going to have to make sure we have you back on. And anything that you're doing, please include us. That goes without saying. Yeah. But I will say this. Speak to us about how this whole pandemic leading into the historic, groundbreaking trial that ended up with the Chauvin trial for George Floyd, and the moment that we're in right now, before we let you go.
Well, you know, I think, you know, it's interesting. I was just having this conversation about it, and it's unfortunate that George Floyd had to lose his life. And this entire thing is just catastrophic. And guess what? Black people, unfortunately, killed by the hands of police or by racism is the fertilization of America, right? Literally, the streets, the sidewalks, the fertilization. And unfortunately, really, those people of color, right? What have happened to Asians, what have happened to Native Americans, all across the board. It's a horrific history when you think about it. And it's interesting that even with art, now I'll reel it in. With art, we can do stuff, but it mainly takes a minute for the world to pay attention. That's really when, you know, the world responds to this. Not because what I wrote yesterday wasn't good. It just now they see it, right?
Yeah.
I always use PJ Morton as a great example. I've been touring with PJ for years. I've watched PJ make great records, and PJ has won a Grammy for the last 5 years straight, right? He's on an amazing, legendary run right now. And I can't say that 6 years ago, PJ wasn't as good as he is now.
Right.
I can't say that he's doing much different than what he was always a stage killer. The difference was people looked his way and said, hey man, that guy's really good.
Yeah.
And then he rode the momentum of that, right? He rode the momentum, and he is not letting go of that momentum. And it's very interesting that we are a society where Rodney King is beaten, Breonna Taylor is shot in her bedroom, and we have enough history to know that this is not the first time a cop has knelt his knee on a person's neck and took his breath and his life away. It's just for some reason, because of the pandemic and everyone home, that we know what this feels like. We know what it was, but it was interesting that the rest of the public said,
yeah,
that is really bad.
Yeah.
When most times they don't.
Mm-hmm.
When most times they go, so you're overreacting about that? You know? Here they go.
Just comply.
Way undeniable.
And this was the first time where maybe, once again, the failure of the world, COVID, and everything quieting down. If we, here's one of the purposes of that, maybe it quiet us down to take a minute and just pay attention to this. And this is someone is losing their life over racist pride, really, right? Like it didn't make any sense to stay on this man this long. It made no sense. But I'm not gonna appease you who's telling me to get off him.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm not gonna do this because this is my title, right?
Right.
And this is what I assumed the title means, right? And the entitlement. And the world recognized it and said, that's pretty bad. Now what I would tell you is how long can we ride the momentum of the attention? You know what I mean? And that's where it comes in. Like PJ didn't do, only thing he really did differently was he recognized that now you're looking, now let me really show y'all all the stuff that I've been showing you for the last 15 years. So now that I have your attention, let's really have a conversation. Let's talk about all the different things, and let's really understand what Black Lives Matter, because first it was offensive to you, but now finally you're going to take a minute and go, well, what does it mean?
Right.
And it's also now circling back, not about pity, but about purpose. What is the purpose of the failure? What is the purpose of it? And listen, I've been disappointed enough in America to not assume. This is another thing that I trust. I'm process over product, and I have no problem having a conversation about social equality and my fear as raising 3 boys in this world of what I dealt with and worried of how they might deal with that growing up. You know, so I can't worry about the outcome too much. I can't worry. I can only do my effort in the steps that I'm taking right now and try to change the narrative and the emotion of those in front of me as they're in front of me. You know? Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure.
When you start your church, though, let me know where it's going to be so I can actually, get my membership going.
Listen, I get it. I always tell everybody when I write a gospel song, when I write a gospel album, it's going to be way different than most people's gospel albums. So bear with me. Y'all pray for me and be patient.
In advance, you already know that.
And I really got to say that, first of all, man, just each and every one of you have been a hero of mine. Claude, I appreciate always embracing me everywhere we go. And we ran into each other on several occasions. And I also really had to say this if he doesn't realize it. But when I met you, Mark, and had a chance to really sit down and talk to you. If you remember, I was going through Traveler's Guilt. I just had my second son. I now have three boys. And I was struggling going to the grocery store. Like, forget going on the road and doing shows. I was struggling leaving the house to go get milk. Like I felt I was missing something. And I remember coming to you really broken at that time. And I credit you and Stokely as 2 people who I needed to hear how you parented in all of this busyness and
That's
hear
right.
how, and then to see that it was still okay. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you could be gone on Saturday and you'll be home on Tuesday. And I really appreciate you kind of walking me off the cliff in that conversation. Cause I came to you, whether you realized it, you know, really like about to just stop all of this, you know, stop all this. Cause I didn't understand what I was going through, you know.
Well, you know, we encourage each other, man.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you don't realize you've been dropping bombs all night. The things that, you know, definitely I needed to hear, you know, just as encouragement to keep going and continue to give and not be afraid to fail. You know, but this thing isn't about me. It's about what God's given to me that I can give to you, and then it's not mine anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I appreciate that moment. I know I got to say this too. We almost worked together, but we must make that happen for real.
Yes, yes. The hospital song. Yes,
that's right. That's
song.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you put that out yet, but it's still in my mind. So it's still hot and definitely something that people need to hear. So
well, you know,
I'm in.
Yeah. What I'll tell you, what I have been thinking about, because you think about how hospitals are so important now. I have been thinking about reapproaching that song from a standpoint of where we are today in honoring, and that's, once again, that song came from while I was driving with my dad one day, and we passed the hospital, and he said, you know, a hospital ain't nothing but a big old box. It's just full of joy and pain. One hallway is pain, one hallway is joy. It's just a big old box. Church ain't nothing but a big old box. And I was listening to him like, all right, I can't wait to get to a keyboard.
I see now.
Yeah, I'm ready.
A long line of plumbers.
Right. So look, as you already know, I'm ready when you guys are. So
see that. That's the screenshot.
Yeah, man.
Make me apply to Berkeley, man.
Come on, man. We ready for you. You ready for it? Thank y'all so very much.
Thank you, bro, for being here.
Our pleasure, man. So you've been here with us. Thank you for everybody hanging out with us here on the Spread Love podcast. This is one for the ages. Thank you so much for being with us, brother.
Thank you.
Very
we
cool,
will
bro.
have you back. Can we get a yes from you?
Yes. And listen,
Yes,
whenever
sir.
Christian can't make it, y'all just let me know. I'll clear my schedule. You know.
Hey,
nothing but a word.
we ain't saying nothing but a word. So hey, be careful.
Play with us.
Hey,
It happens sometimes. So don't say it unless you're ready.
In a closet. We'll lock him in a closet and call you.
We'll have an opening song, and then from this point on, just whatever you guys say, our next guest is going to actually come on and actually he's going to sing whatever you say.
Yeah, let's go.
And we're gonna back him up with whatever we do.
I love it. Man, God bless y'all, man.
Thanks so much, bro.
It, man. No doubt.
Thank you, brother.
Take care.
No doubt.
Peace.